Call of Duty has always been a live service title, but it hasn't been until the last few years that that dial has really been cranked up to 11, which really begs the question, is the live service system really good for Call of Duty Zombies? Well, I brought in expert gamer Lego Unlocked to talk just about that. We talked a lot about YouTube and all that good stuff, and I'm really glad that you're doing well. But now I would just kind of like to switch over to Black Ops 6 Zombies, and I have some other questions regarding live service as a whole, because I find you to be more of an expert on this type of content, because
an expert.
I do. You're unlocked. You unlock a lot of things. You grind stuff. You have the live service kind of thing down. So I definitely want your opinion on that. But before we kind of get into that, how are you feeling about Black Ops 6 in general and the new, I guess the quote unquote new direction that Black Ops 6 is kind of taking COD Zombies? Like, how are you feeling about everything?
I like it. I mean, Black Ops 6 overall, I enjoy the maps, and I feel like it's hard to say you enjoy the current zombies because it's never cool to like the newest zombie game. And I was someone who liked Cold War quite a bit, and with the current state of Black Ops 6, I think I like it more than what I liked Cold War. And it's definitely a little bit different, but it's not necessarily bad. I mean, there's good and there's bad with how it's being done.
Do you feel like Cold War was a little bit more Treyarchy than, I know this is kind of,
I really don't. No,
you don't?
I don't feel like it felt more Treyarchy. I get what you're trying to say, but I can't really visualize it. But it didn't feel more inherently like a Treyarch game than what this does to me. Interesting.
There's bits and pieces, like maybe it's just because of hindsight, but when I'm watching like Mauer der Toten cinematic gameplay trailers and looking at the old footage, and I'm like, I don't know. I still feel like, I don't know if it was the old engine or whatever, but there's just something about the way that Black Ops 6 feels where it kind of reminds me of Modern Warfare 3 and just this new, it just feels a little bit more unified across game to game to game. It doesn't have that distinct feel.
I get what you're saying, and I haven't gone back and played Cold War in a couple of years, so maybe if I sit down and play it, I'm like, oh yeah, this feels like Treyarch. So I get what you're talking more about, the engine, not the like just how it feels when you're playing it. And I guess since I played so much Modern Warfare 3 and Modern Warfare 2 the last couple of years, playing this just it feels the same. And I haven't the only older zombie games I played recently is World at War and Black Ops 1. I haven't played Cold War in probably over 2 years at this point, maybe a year and a half. It's been a while. So maybe if I went back and forth between them, I would feel more of that. But from someone who hasn't played it in a while, like I don't really notice a difference.
Yeah, I just feel like the games used to feel so distinct from one another, and that's partially why I like Treyarch, but there's like more of a cohesive blend between game to game, and it is a little bit of a bummer. But I largely though, and I guess I would have to agree, it's like I do think Black Ops is a good game. Do I think it's the best Zombies iteration ever? Probably not, but I do find myself enjoying just killing zombies, doing Easter eggs, doing the boss fights, grinding for stuff. But, and maybe you disagree with this, because I know you have a different interest in zombies overall, I think, but I feel like there's a little bit of a lack of depth and replayability outside of just the core gameplay loop. I don't find this like narrative drive to sink my teeth into the maps and enjoy this like wonder that the old maps kind of provided for me. And I was just curious, how do you feel about that? Does that make any sense, or am I kind of talking out of my ass?
I see what you're saying with that, and I personally think the newer games are more replayable, but they're not replayable in the same aspect. A lot of the newer replayable, the way they make the newer games more replayable is more grindy. There's obviously camos. You want to play the map again to get this camo. You want to get this calling card. You want to get this dark ops. You want to, unlock this. Oh, there's an LTM. You want to. So I think it's more replayable in that aspect. But when it comes down to core gameplay, not looking at any of the things you can unlock, it's really hard to say. Like I kind of, my first gut reaction is like, oh yeah, the old games were way more replayable. But then I kind of remember like back when I would get home and play World at War, like I'd only play a couple games of Noct. We'd play it once, maybe twice, but after you die, you get, we weren't getting to round 100 back then. You get to like round 20 on Noctur and Toad, and you really play one game. And it's like, oh, let's go play multiplayer now. And it, like, I don't really, like, I didn't find the old Zombies games super replayable in that. Like, I was playing them a couple of times, but after one good zombie game, I feel like once your game ends and you've been in it for an hour, like, I'm not playing another one. Like, it was really a one and done thing after school for like World at War and Black Ops 1. Like, all right, let's try, the Shangri-La Easter egg. And we're 45 minutes into an hour. We all die. It's like, well, now it's, 10 o'clock. We got school tomorrow. We don't really got time to run back another 2-hour game. So, and that's really what we would do. Like back when I would, and maybe it's just the type of player I am, back when I played the older zombie games before there was things to unlock, there's only one of two things I would do. You're either trying to get to the highest possible round or you're trying to do the Easter egg. And that was your one of two goals to do. And I didn't play a lot of solo back then. I was more of a, play with all the guys from school. So in a 4-player game, if you're going to like, even back then, going around 30, like maybe 40, depending on like what map it is and what you're playing, that is a long game with 4 players.
Yeah,
so
it is.
And I don't know, like I felt like once you put a couple hours in a game and you die, like I really didn't have the mindset to run it back. So I do think the new games are more replayable, but I think it's just because of maybe it's like an artificial replayability. It's the grind aspect that keeps you playing over and over again.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. And to be fair, I mean, I love Easter eggs. I love all that stuff from the older games. But after playing Blood of the Dead for an hour, 45 minutes to 2.5 hours to do the Easter egg, I'm like, I'm done. Like I put the controller down or the mouse down and I leave and I go do something else. So, I mean, I think that is a fair assessment. It's like you play an Easter egg, you maybe do a couple side quests or whatever, or try to get to round 35, listen to a podcast in the background, and then you're kind of done, right? So I think that is I do think that's a fair assessment, but I don't know what it is about the whole grinding aspect, but I don't know. Part of it I do like, but I can't, I don't know, dude. I have like the camo draft, that camo spreadsheet you sent me. And I'm like, I'm going through it. I'm trying to unlock Nebula and I'm like almost through shotguns. Right. And it's just, I don't know, man. This is like the millionth camo grind I've gone down. I was hoping they would bring more of the grind stuff into the side Easter eggs or into the quests. Like if you beat Citadel Daymore 5 times, you'll get a special X, Y, or Z thing. And it just feels like it's still the same kind of calling cards, camos. I just wish they would add more.
That is my dream. And I think we're getting closer and closer every year. There was, and I know people like, it's always hard to say like, the newer COD games getting better, but when it comes to grinding and stuff like that, it is. I think we can objectively look at, Black Ops 3 added camos, and it was, there wasn't mastery camo. It was just, get 300 kills with the gun, unlock red hex. And then Black Ops 4 increased it more. They're like, now there's mastery camos. Then Black Ops 3, or not Black Ops 3, Cold War, they added more and more. And now we've got more grindable things than we've ever seen in zombies. There's the camos, there's the dark ops, reticles, all this stuff. But it's
Prestige.
Yeah, and prestige. But you're right. It's all cosmetic stuff. It's all out of game things, or it's all based off of kind of the same stuff you see in multiplayer, where there's so much more depth they could do. And I think one of the best examples of, and this was when I say I like this map, it wasn't a very popular map, and I didn't play it when it first came out. I never played World War II Zombies like as the maps were launching. I kind of wasn't super interested in it. I came back and played those maps after they had all been launched, like maybe a year later. And when I got to the Tortured Path, everyone's like, dude, this is one of the worst zombie experiences of all time. But the experience of going through and beating it and getting that, what were the things you got when you beat it? It was like a little upgrade.
I know I kind of remember what you're talking about, but I never got them. So.
And it would give you like 5% more damage for one of the weapons, and it was random. And
oh, that's right. I remember that.
That made me play Tortured Path over and over again. I wanted to get it for the OP Akimbo pistol. I wanted to get it for the 1911s. And it gave me that drive to keep beating the Tortured Path, keep playing it, keep getting that loot box at the end that would give you that it was 5 or 10% damage boost. But I wanted to keep playing it. I wanted to play it 100 plus times to get it for every weapon. And there's so much stuff they could do with that in Zombies. And I think the perfect example is DMZ. And I know a lot of people have said this at this point, but DMZ, one of the funnest things to do in DMZ, every time a DMZ map came out or there was a DMZ update, the first thing I would do, and the first thing a lot of people would do, where's the new boss on the map? Let's go in, kill him, get the crate, and do it all 9 times to get all of the rewards. And that was the first thing I want to do. It was the most exciting and best part about DMZ. And Zombies has all these systems to be able to implement this, like giving people more and more rewards for doing the Easter egg. I'm really surprised they haven't done it yet. But hopefully, like I said, the difference between Cold War and this game and the stuff they've added in terms of grindability was huge. So I'm hoping the next time they go into it, I don't think it's going to get added to this game. Like, I don't think that.
I agree.
I don't think we're going to get. I don't think it's something that's going to happen. I'm not going to hold my hopes up for that, but I'm hoping the next time we get a Zombies game like this, every single time you beat the Easter egg, there's 10 different rewards, and you get one of those 10 rewards, and then the 10th one is like the final mastery reward. Whether it be, it's got to be better than what we're getting now. Like, it can't just be a generic operator. It need to be a cool camo, and it doesn't have to be the best camo, but it could be a simple red moving camo, something more than what they're giving us now. And I'd want to go in and beat the Easter egg 10 separate times to get that. That would be one of the first things I'd do, and just finding ways to reward people besides just the camo grind or the calling card grind. Like, use the zombie, like actual zombies mechanic as part of the grind.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things I can think they could do with side quests or any type of unique feature inside of the map. I mean, imagine if you beat the Easter egg 4 times or 5 times and you get the camo, or you get a weapon buff to a random weapon, or perhaps like there's like a secret side Easter egg in one of the maps that allows you to have a permanent 25% buff to like a major augment of your choice. Like, just stuff like that is in game that can help boost things in menus or unique features that are actually inside of the maps themselves. And this is actually kind of what I want to lead into. And you and I have talked about this before, but it's been quite a while since we've talked about it. I think actually the last time we talked about this specifically was when in Cold War, when it was like year 2 and they released that second gun. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Year 2.
Verka, or the whatever, that gun that had like the venom skin and it, like,
the Mastercraft. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the name of the gun, but I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I actually remember this conversation that we had before. The point I'm trying to bring up is I am a huge proponent of unique features in maps. Like, I want maps to have their own special perks. I want maps to have their own special Easter eggs, their own special wonder weapons, unique craftables, like, the Casimir, for example, only be on Liberty Falls. And there's a special Mangler cannon on Liberty Falls, Casimir for Terminus, or something like that. Weapons that are thematically fit to the map itself. And something you kind of told me one time is, you're like, as much as I think that worked in the past, what really makes having unified features across the entire Zombies mode is it makes it super exciting to go back and try the new equipment and the new perks and the new items in D Machine for the first time, or in Firebase E for the first time. And you actually kind of changed my opinion about live service in general. However, I think that without the unique features in the maps themselves, it takes away from the longevity of the mode overall. Like, going back 10 years to experience PhD Flopper and Stamina Up on Ascension for the first time, or something like that,
Yeah, and I agree, and I think there's a balance to it. I think I do agree, maps should have their own unique things, but like, especially with wonder weapons, I'm fully okay with, like, I love each map having its own unique, like, original to its wonder weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even same thing with things like special grenades, like little Arnie's are other stuff that, like the QED or whatever it called from Moon, like the hacker on Moon. One of the reasons I love Moon so much is the hacker is one of the coolest, most unique things we've ever seen in Zombies. And it's one of my favorite parts about playing Moon. It's like, oh, I can hack this door, get it for super cheap. Oh, I can re-roll the box. Oh, I can flip the I can flip the wall weapon upside down and get cheaper ammo once it's Pack-a-Punch. And just like, that made Moon so unique to me. But for things like, I feel like perks and Just the way the game works, like, and you, I mean, you already brought up this point, but when we got Vulturade in Black Ops 6, I was excited to use it on the older maps. Now it gives me a reason to go back and play Liberty Falls, play Terminus, because I've got a new perk and I've got new ways and new strategies I can use on those older maps because of the new perks that have been added to them. Whereas in the older Zombies games, besides, we're not going to talk about Black Ops 1 with Mule Kick. That was weird, crazy weird. But besides that, when I'm trying to think of like Black Ops 3, the only new perk in that game was Widow's Wine, and that came at the launch. I'm trying to think of how far do we have to go back to get perks from DLC maps? Did Black Ops 4 didn't, because those were the really weird perk system. I guess Black Ops 2 was the last time we got a perk after the game launched. It was Electric Cherry. Was that the last time? That seems really weird if that was the last time we get.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Besides like Cold War, like the older games. I'm trying to think of an older game, because Black Ops 3 didn't get any new perks after launch, did it? It was just Widow's Wine, and that was just A1.
It was just Widow's Wine and then Gobblegum.
Yeah. So, and with Black Ops 1, like I would have loved, I mean, Electric Cherry is a bad example because it's not like it fundamentally changes how the other maps are played. PhD, I guess, would have been cool on Kino. Same thing with Stamina Up, like, and it would have given you a reason to go back and try it. But the point I'm trying to make with Black Ops 6 is I don't think perks, like, I think we're past the point where perks should be specific to maps, especially with the upgrades, because the upgrades are fun to test. And Vulturade with the Picky Eater, I think it was, where when you kill the zombies, they can now drop other things. I was like, oh, wow, I kind of want to go high round on Liberty Falls again with this Casimir thing. Like, that sounds a lot of fun. Oh, I want to go play Terminus again and try to get a new high round now that we've got this. Same thing with the, like, and with the way augments work. They're so unique. And there's always new strategies coming out. I'm trying to think of the one specifically. But like the one that gives you more ammo for wonder weapons, like I'm like, oh crap, how does this change every other map? Like, what new strategies? Obviously, Liberty Falls didn't help because the jet gun. Terminus, I think it was actually pretty helpful for a high round strat on that map, if I'm correct. Maybe I'm wrong. I think maybe that was the one for headshots or something. But I don't know. One of my favorite part of these new games is trying all of the new stuff on the older maps. It gives you more to look forward to in an update than just the new map. Like, big update comes out, you play the new map for a few weeks, but then once the hype of that dies down, it's like, okay, let's go use all the new weapons, all the new perks, you know, the war machine. Let's go use all this new stuff on the older maps and let's make new experiences that we haven't been able to do before.
Yeah. I mean, I do. That's what's so conflicting about this whole discussion. It's like, I see where you're coming from, and it makes a lot of sense because I literally just did that the other day. I was playing the Tomb, and I got around 100 with the ice staff, and using the Picky Eater or not Picky Eater, but the augment that gives you more wonder weapon ammo, and I was able to just, you know, do around 100 game with the ice staff, and it was super fun. And I was like, you know what? I wonder how this would play on Terminus, and I went back and I did it. And so I do agree with you there. I guess kind of where I struggle is like, as much as the perk limit, I think we're kind of past this conversation. I think BO6 has done a good job balancing the game with allowing us to have, you know, a million perks. In Cold War, I don't think they tuned it quite right. I think Black Ops 4 and Black Ops 3, the games were actually balanced to have less perks. So when you had them all, you felt super OP. But in Black Ops 6, I actually feel like it's just right. Like they've tuned everything.
So expensive. Like I feel like that's one of the way they balanced it is if you die and lose all your perks, it's like, it's round 20. Yeah. My gun's not killing. I really need to pack it, but I've also got no perks now. Like I feel like they balanced it with the points, and
they did.
Yeah, if you're high rounding, obviously you got infinite points. But if you're just playing like a normal game and you're not going too high, it's like, dude, I would love some perks, but I don't got points. These perks are expensive.
Yeah, but I agree. I just wish that there was a way to make, like, the fact that I can just go buy Vulturade on Terminus, it's like, that's kind of lame. Like, I wish there was like unique things that were on that map that make it special. And if I want to get Vulturade, it's like, okay, maybe I use my free on the house from grinding gums, or maybe there's an Easter egg or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ways to make the maps more special.
I really wouldn't like that. That to me would be terrible. If the only way, like, and that was one of my gripes with Black Ops 3. If the only way to do something on that map is to use a gobblegum, that feels, that puts a sour taste in my mouth. Like, I feel like
in your map,
in my mouth. Yeah, it puts a really sour taste in my mouth. But I always hated that. It's like, oh yeah, you can only do this if you have a gobblegum. You want to get that perk? It's only possible on this map if you use one of these out of game things. They like, if they're gonna do that, there should always be even if it's, an Easter egg or something you have to do to be able to get the perk, I don't like it when they lock things off in a map unless you happen to have a gobblegum for it. Like I never liked that.
Yeah, I understand. That might have not been the best example. I just mean,
But yeah, I get what you're saying. And I think there's other ways they can do it. I feel like perks, especially with the augment system and how it works, I feel like it does benefit greatly to have them on all maps. But I wish there were some specific things that were map specific, like the hacker device. And that I know I already brought that up, but if there was some cool, unique thing you could pick up on one of these maps that did something like the hacker, or a new unique spin on it, that would really stand out in that map. Same thing with like the Hell's Retriever. If there was an Easter egg you could do to get like the Ether Blade or something along the lines of a Hell's Retriever, and just put it on that map. It's not an equipment you can, put on normally. It'd be specifically for that map. And I think that's really the direction to go with it, is like QED, something like that, our little Arnie's, and make like these almost Wonder Weapon-esque version of equipment that is unique to that one map. And it's not craftable. It's something you either got to do an Easter egg for, get it out of the box. And I'm trying to think of other things they could do like the hacker. And it might be hard to think of things like that necessarily, but I'm sure there's things that could be done to set the maps apart. But perks, I like that perks are available on all maps. And I think it does more good than it does harm. But there's other things that could be unique to a map that should be being done.
No, I do agree with Black Ops 6. They've done a much better job with tuning things, because it felt like Cold War was that transition period where they're like, there's no perk limit. Come in with your starting weapon, with whatever starting weapon you want. And with the way the Ether Crystal system worked with that grind, it really just made you overpowered very quickly.
Yeah.
So I do agree it's much more balanced in Black Ops 6, excuse me. I guess the two things that I don't like about the new systems are that you can just buy everything from the salvage table, just earn enough salvage and you can buy it, or earn enough points and you can buy all your perks. I guess I'm kind of like over the specific thing with perks specifically. It's just the system of having passive things reward you, like points and salvage, and then I can just go buy the thing. I would like there to be more ways to earn stuff.
Well, I like that. And I think, to me, and I feel like this is an unpopular opinion when I say, it sounds weird. I kind of like being able to just, get what you're looking for out of the box and not have to do Easter egg for things. It feels like World at War. And World at War, when I was playing, I just bought all the perks because there was only 4 perks. You didn't need a perk limit. Like, I got every perk I wanted in that system. I got the wonder weapons I wanted out of the box. I didn't have to do Easter eggs for that. And it was a very straightforward system. And I kind of I like both to be an option. Like, I want there to be, a way to do it, but I feel like it should always be in the box by default. And like anything you're able to get.
And do you know which game did that?
Black Ops 1.
Black Ops 4. The GOAT
Black Ops 4,
game.
really? You get all the wonder weapons without building them.
I mean, except for
no. What about the ray guns? Because I don't play that one map because I don't want to have to build it. And
Alpha Omega, you can get the regular ray gun.
You can't upgrade it though. I guess you can't upgrade the ice staff out of the box either. So fair point.
Yeah. Well, the regular ray gun can't be upgraded inside of Alpha Omega. There's like the 4 canister or the 4 things you have to find, but you can pack a punch it. So because there's 5 ray guns on Alpha Omega.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was talking about. The different, like the Akimbo one, all the weird versions. Out of all Black Ops 4 maps, it's probably my least played. I know very little. Like I've played it. I've done the Easter egg, but I could not tell you the steps to getting those 4 wonder weapons off the top of my head.
Yeah, they're actually pretty simple, but Black Ops 4, it's funny because I think it really, I mean, maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I think Black Ops 4 was truly the bridge between classic zombies and modern zombies. And it really did marry a lot of the systems, but I think that it doesn't really.
Interesting. Well, I give Cold War credit for that, but I guess you're right. I did not play near as much Black Ops 4 as what you did. I played it a lot at launch, so I know a lot about the first 3 maps. Like I played a ton at launch. Like before there was a DLC map, I was like almost level 500, and then I kind of just stopped playing.
That's crazy.
I had every camo unlocked, even though there wasn't a mastery camo at Black Ops 4 launch. I still had all the camos for everything ready to go when they were going to add it. I did like all the challenges, and then I stopped playing before DLC 1, and I did not go back to it until after all the DLCs were released.
They didn't have dark matter at launch, or dark whatever it was?
No.
Interesting. I don't remember that.
They didn't even have gold, I don't think. Like, and you were just able. And dude, this is such a tangent. I know it's so off topic. That's
It's
one
okay.
like one of the most petty reasons I hate Black Ops 4, and it doesn't even relate to the zombie mechanics. It was when it came out, I was so excited. You know, I grind camo, so I did MP, and then I did zombies, and the zombie camos were different. They weren't the same camos you're able to unlock, and they said like, hey, we're gonna be adding mastery camos to zombies. So grinded my butt off, and
I do remember this now.
if you grinded camos in Black Ops 4, you know the difference between MP and zombies. Zombies was so much longer. It wasn't necessarily harder
so long.
in zombies. It was so long for no reason. And if you've grinded it past launch, they've made it easier. They nerfed the amount of headshots you needed to get by a lot for the box specific weapons.
Yeah, only for box weapons though.
If you grinded BO4 Zombies camos at launch, you know what I'm talking about. If you grinded it like 3 months after it came out, it was a different grind, completely different grind. Especially because newer maps made it easier. But so I busted my butt. I was nonstop grinding on zombies day after day after day because it's like when this mastery camo comes out, I want to get it right away and I want to see it. And I expected it to be a different camo because the base camos were different than the base camos in MP.
Yeah.
So when they finally added the camo in zombies, it was just the same 3 mastery camos for MP, the exact 3 ones that I already unlocked. I already had it in MP. So it's like, oh, great, now I can just use these camos. And I was so mad. I spent all that time. I was so excited. It's like, oh yeah, here's dark matter again. It's the same one for MP. Like, at least change the color. Do what you did. Like, just I don't even care. Just change the hue a little bit. Put some sort of anything on it to make it slightly different. And that put us sour. I was so mad about that. And that's why I stopped playing. That's why I stopped playing before the DLC maps. I didn't come back till after all the maps were launched because of I was just so pissed.
I think that's
a petty thing.
I think that's where the Dark Ether thing stemmed from. Like, we need a camo called Dark Ether. I think that's where it originated. But the thing about Black Ops 4 is like, and maybe you'll disagree with some of this, but you could get every wonder weapon from the box for the most part. I'm sure there was exceptions. You know, turning on power and opening up Pack-a-Punch was relatively simple. This is something that I think a lot of people disagree with me. This is why I was saying it might be a little bit controversial or whatever. But I actually think that Treyarch intended to kind of have a little bit of a mini perkaholic baked into the player. So you had your quick revive, sort of. You had a couple self revives baked in. You had Jug automatically with the 3 or 4 hits or whatever it was. You got Speed Cola by having all 4 perks active. And then you had your 4 perks plus a modifier. So you had like kind of 6 to 7.5 perks depending on how you slice it. Oh, and then Pack-a-Punch had double taps because it boosted your weapon 4 times. So that they gave you essentially like 7-ish perks baked into the player, because the perkaholic gobblegum or elixir was never supposed to be in the game. Like, I remember hearing rumors about that at launch. Like, they were designing the game differently so that people didn't have to rely on that gobblegum and spend a bunch of or elixir and spend a bunch of money to get it. And it was like baked into the player. And so you had all these perks kind of baked into the core player. You had the specialist, which was like your kind of get out of jail free card, and then box weapons were all or wonder weapons were all in the box, but each map had like a special wonder weapon or special enemies or unique Easter eggs. And I think Dead of the Night, you know, one of the greatest maps of all time. Write in the comments if you think it's amazing. If you hate it, you know what to do as well. But it had these oh my gosh, what the hell was it called? The steak knife. And then it had the Savage Impaler. So like they had special quests inside of the map alongside having Alistair's Annihilator, you know, the main quest, plus all the typical features. And I really think they did a good job bridging the gap, which is why I think I like it so much. But maybe Treyarch needs to only lean in one direction. Maybe they need to lean more in this like Cold War Black Ops 6 style, or they need to lean more into the classic BO3 and before style. Maybe merging the two genres together is actually not what the community wants.
I don't know. I don't know if that's it. I feel like there was a lot of issues why Black Ops 4 was not received well, and I don't think it necessarily was that. But going back, hearing you explain Black Ops 4, I feel like if I stayed and played that game throughout its DLC life cycle, like I've played all the maps now, I've gone back, I've done all the Easter eggs, but I didn't do it till after they were all launched. But I think I would have liked it a lot more, like, because you're right, I forgot about the steak knife completely, but having that additional melee weapon. Like, it'd be really cool if some of the maps on here had, side quests you could do for like a random melee weapon that fit the theme of the map.
Yeah.
I don't know what you'd get in Citadel or Terminus, but there could be something cool, and they could have different unique aspects. They're not all going to just be, a better version of a melee weapon. They could have different stuff. And I feel like that would really set the maps apart in uniqueness, having, maybe they don't all have melee weapons. They could have different things. And it's aside from
Sure.
the wonder weapon. It's aside from, all that stuff. Like, I liked, you brought up Dead of the Night. One of the things I liked about that map, what made it unique was the silver bullets. Like, you were able to,
another great idea. Yeah.
yeah. And it was like the first time we had this, in COD Zombies, you can just buy ammo. It's like a foreign concept, and it was just on that one map, and it really made that map stand out. And I mean, I'm sure there's things they could do like that in Black Ops 6, but it's harder now because every map you can buy ammo. Every map there's a crafting table. Every map there's an armor station. So finding things to set it apart like silver bullets, I feel like I'm sure there's things they could do, but it'd just be hard to come up with constantly and make them unique enough where they're worth doing.
Well, that's kind of the Chopper said this really well. I don't know if I was talking to him personally or if it was in the podcast, but he basically said, like, a lot of the ideas that we see inside of zombies are just, repackaged and repurposed MP ideas. Like Gobblegum are score streaks, right? Like, that's what they are. I never really considered that to be the case until I saw the BO6 HUD and they were in the same position. I was like, oh, those are score streaks. But point is, Dead of the Night's silver bullets table is just an armor crate, an ammo crate that has a little bit of a damage buff. It's like, why can't they just repackage these ideas to make them feel more unique? It doesn't have to be that they, like, fine, I can buy ammo on Terminus, but why can't, we destroy a ventilation system and we find a pile of tentacles that swallowed up an ammo crate. Now we can just go buy it every time. Like, just do it in ways that make it fun and kind of built into the map. It doesn't have to be a crazy Easter egg. Maybe you can just shoot one of the vents and it just falls down.
You just got to be creative with it.
Yeah, just creative and fun.
I'm not creative in that type of way, so I can't really imagine things out of the box like that. But you're right. I'm sure if they just got creative with some of the way they did things in the theming. I mean, I was one of my favorite things about older zombie maps was those one-off maps where things were just completely different, like Mob of the Dead, how the box was different. Shadows of Evil, how like those were some of my favorite maps, is when things just changed and it was a different style. It just felt really fresh.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad from both of these eras, right? It's like, because that variation in style from map to map is great. It's fun, but then you get maps that you hate. Like, I personally am not a big fan of Moon. I'm Shangri-La's not like my personal. I actually
gotta go. I'm sorry. I gotta. you didn't tell me that before we started this. You could have just led with that.
I've been keeping it a secret for years just to expose it on the show right now. Or like, I guess Shangri-La, like, I have mixed feelings about Shangri-La, but I love the Blundell maps. I'm a Blundell simp, so it's like,
I was always kind of iffy on Shangri-La. And like a month ago, I went back and did the Shangri-La Easter egg on Black Ops 1. I didn't do the Black Ops 3 version. I will never touch the Black Ops 3 version. You can't have a Shangri-La Easter egg without Spikemores. It makes no goddamn sense. It's an abomination, shouldn't be played.
That's true.
So I went back and played the actual Shangri-La Easter egg, not the fake Wish version.
The Wish version.
It was so much better. Like, and that's what because I shameless plug. I've been going through for one of my second channels. We've been playing through all the old Easter eggs, and they are just different. Like Call of the Dead, hearing the quotes, like as you're sitting there, and the quote about Rick Toffin touching Dempsey's lever.
Yeah.
It's not a lever. Like it's just like, damn, dude, I forgot all these different quotes and just playing those Easter eggs. But I got a little off topic. But Shangri-La, like I went back and played Shangri-La and did the Easter eggs, and I think it's now one of my favorite Easter eggs of all time. I forgot how intricate it was and how fun it was, and just for how crazy it was at the time. Going from like Ascension, which was kind of basic, a couple voice quotes, and then Call of the Dead, where it was still kind of basic. I mean, you had the lights and the Vril device. But then you've got Shangri-La where you're going into, back in time and you're shooting different rocks and you're shrinking
Yeah,
meteors.
that stuff is pretty
And
sick.
I think the big, like, that is where Easter eggs became Easter eggs. Like, Ascension's still an Easter egg. Call of the Dead's still an Easter egg, but like that was the big switch. The difference between Call of the Dead to Shangri-La was where things just flipped up to 10, and it's so good. I have a more found appreciation for Shangri-La. Going back and doing that Easter egg again, put it way higher on my ranking list now than what it used to be.
Yeah, I think that's actually a very fair assumption. I just but that's like a lot of differentiation between each map, and it's like not that Citadel is bad or the Tomb is bad or anything like that, but you can almost guarantee that aside from the wonder weapon and the quest and whatever the boss fight is, which are major parts, don't get me wrong, you can almost tell like the core gameplay loop is going to be the same. Like, and that's fine. It's just what the era that we're in right now. But I mean, like we've said a million times, it's just I really wish there was special things inside of the map that allowed for a more unique experience. Like, I'm sure people watching have heard me say this a dozen times, but when we first saw the Mangler mutant injection thing, I was like,
Yeah.
no way, this is going to be a special thing just for Terminus. Like, that's what I thought. And it wasn't. And
Yeah.
that stuff bums me out because like they had a really unique opportunity to make like that a Terminus thing, maybe turn you into an abomination on Liberty Falls, turn you into a Doppelgast on Citadel, and turn you into a mimic on the Tomb, or it doesn't even have to be like that intricate, but just it like maybe there's just something else. It's not a mutant injection. It's, I don't know, just something else that buffs you, or a secret I don't know. Just
Like
something that makes
potentially
it.
like getting like a maybe what they could have done for Citadel is there could have been like a golden shovel, kind of like how there was the golden spork for Mob of the Dead. If you do something with digging, there's a side quest, you could do this, and then the shovel that you picked up, you can make a golden shovel, and now it's like a good melee weapon, and now you've got
Sure.
that golden shovel, and you can get better, maybe some different types of loot from, I don't know, like that just quick little thing, and that, I guess, stuff like that. You're right, like the golden spork. I mean, it's what makes one of the things that makes Mob of the Dead so good, and you're right, we don't have things like that anymore, and it's just I guess it's the state of things now. It just, uh, it's hard to do, but I feel like perks are the one thing. Like I'm okay with that, but perks I feel like should be on every map. But
Yeah,
and you're right, the experience of playing zombies, especially on day one, like, dude, oh my god, like going back to Black Ops 1, it's like, dude, we're getting well. For me, that kind of switched off. Like Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 was where I was like waiting up for a new map, was because you didn't know what you're going to get. They didn't spoil anything, and the environment was going to be completely different. And it's not the same feeling now. And I think it's more than just it's more than just, the maps not being crazy different and all sharing the same mechanics. It's also that they reveal a lot more now
I
than
know.
what they did back then. That's part of what makes it feel a little bit different on launch day.
That's one of those things about live service that I don't like. And while COD's always been a live service, it feels so different now. And that's okay. Things change. Like, I'm not mad at Treyarch or anything, but like when we got Citadel, they gave us like a book about the history of the map, all these sections of why things were the way they were, and telling us about the owl and whatnot. And I'm like, why don't you just tell us that in the actual map? Like, while we're going through the Easter egg, give us all this abundance of information about the owl and his sons. And they do a little bit, but not nearly to the point of something like Der Eisendrache with Dr. Groff and Richtofen going back and forth, yelling at each other, and us trying to bring Dempsey down. And like those epic moments are just super exciting. And it's like the only time we really get to deal with the owl is when we kind of open that secret room at the end, and he's taunting us in the boss fight, which is super sick. I love that stuff. But I'm just wondering, like, why is Treyarch like keep playing cards so close to the chest? It just doesn't feel like they're taking risks in the same way that they used to. And that's kind of what made Zombies exciting, was was seeing like what the hell they were cooking up, and I feel like it's a little predictable now in a
Yeah,
way.
well, and I think part of the reason it's more predictable now is because taking risks didn't always work for them. I think Black Ops 4,
Sure.
and I think Black Ops 4 is a perfect example. They're like, all right, Black Ops 3, we took a huge risk. Let's do it again with Black Ops 4, which was a huge, ambitious project. It launched with 3 maps. It had tons of stuff with it. It had tons of, you could tell there was a ton of effort put into Black Ops 4, but it was received, especially at launch, it was received terribly. And it definitely did not live up to the expectation they probably had for Black Ops 4. And now they have this formula with Cold War that works. And I think that's part of the reason they're playing it safe is because when they take risks, it doesn't, I think Black Ops 4 is part of the reason things have been so safe.
No, it makes me sad. Makes me
Yeah.
sad because I love that game so much. So, what do you think about? I know obviously Lego Unlocked, and you're unlocking things and grinding things, but what do you actually think about the Easter eggs and like all of that like the main quests inside of BO6? How do you like them? Do you find them enjoyable? Do you think they're too hard, or do you think they're too easy?
I've got a lot of opinions on the Easter eggs.
Let's hear them.
Because I mean, you can go a ton of different directions. There's obviously the story like aspect of it. There's the difficulty, and then I would consider just the coolness factor of while you're doing the steps, even if you're not paying attention to the story, just how cool is it while you're doing it? I feel like a perfect example of this, even if you're not paying attention to the story of Moon, doing that Easter egg's cool as hell. You're opening up a pyramid. There's, like you could know nothing about the zombie storyline, and doing the Moon Easter egg is just an experience. Like even if that was the only zombie map you ever played, that's a fun Easter egg to do. So, but storyline, I could care less. I know that's one of the biggest gripes with the Black Ops 6 Easter eggs is people don't necessarily like the storyline or how, especially with Citadel, there wasn't, a crazy outro cutscene or intro cutscene. I personally don't care about the storyline anymore. I used to be big into it, but Black Ops 2, they kind of lost me, and I have not got back on the wagon for the storyline since.
So
Like
you've been like an OG
Moon
storyline hater.
in my head, Moon's where it ended. Like canonly, I like the Moon. Moon was the last map where I consider anything canon. Past that, it's all just because they kind of lost me in Black Ops 2 because now you got the Richthofen side and the Maxis side, which was cool, but now it's like which ones can't and it was maybe it was too much for me. Like it was just my simple brain couldn't handle there being two different sides, and now it's like which ones, the actual canon there. And then Black Ops 3 when it came out, it's like, oh yeah, there's different there's multiple Richthofens, multiple Dempseys. So now when they die, it doesn't have any weight because there's this one and this one, and now we're, aliens, and it's like, yeah, I kind of liked it better when it was a little bit more zombie focused and a little bit more not like multiple universes and multiple like two of them, three so yeah, for me, storyline ended on Moon, and I kind of like how they did the storyline back then more. It was a little bit more like hidden and like it wasn't as in your face, and I stopped caring. Like I didn't care during Black Ops 2 towards the end. Didn't care at all during Black Ops 3. I didn't care about the storyline at all. Same thing, Black Ops 4, I don't care. So when I look at an Easter egg, my viewpoint's very different than a lot of people because the storyline has no impact on me. That the cutscene could be whatever at the end. The intro could be whatever. It's not going to change my ranking of an Easter egg. So when it comes to like how cool and fun the Easter eggs are, I don't know. There's none that really stand out to me. Liberty Falls isn't that fun to do, to be perfectly honest. It's pretty simple. Terminus is kind of fun, but I don't like having to go to all the islands through the water. Like, it's just not a fun, replayable Easter egg for me. Same thing with Citadel. I feel like Citadel is a really fun Easter egg if you're playing with multiple people because it's like everyone gets a sword. Whereas if you're playing solo, it's like, oh yeah, you got to build all 4 of these swords, but you only get to use one. So I feel like Citadel is a really fun Easter egg to do with a group of friends, just not as fun solo. I quite like the newest Easter egg on the tomb. I like the steps of it. They're pretty, not necessarily fun to do, but they're pretty cool steps. And then the boss fight I enjoyed because I think it was just the difficulty of the boss fight that I liked the tomb. It was a step up. It was the first Easter egg that I failed my first attempt on Black Ops 6. Like we did Liberty Falls our first try, we did Terminus our first attempt, we did Citadel our first attempt. The tomb was the first time in Black Ops 6, we sat down and played and we lost. And that to me makes when you go back and beat it, so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree.
So much more enjoyable. And that's what I this is another Easter egg people hate, but I love it. The boat map, Voyage of Despair.
Hmm.
I love that Easter egg. The Easter egg steps are stupid. I hate the stupid space step with all the planets
Oh,
but the
really? I
boss
like that
fight.
part.
Ew. I love the boss fight though, and I love that I failed at my first attempt because a lot of the Black Ops 4 Easter eggs I didn't fail my first attempt, but I think it took me 3 or 4 attempts to beat the Voyage of Despair boss fight.
Yeah.
Mainly when I switched to the Helion Salvo. That's what I was doing wrong. Once I switched to that, it became a little bit easier. But even if there is a cheese strat that makes it a lot easier, I like going in your first time and failing it. Like that to me is something that holds a lot more weight to the boss fight is did I beat it my first attempt or did I fail it?
Yeah.
I kind of want to fail my first time because like I said, going back and like strategizing, like going to like, okay, we need to do this, get that, and then it makes it when you do beat it just so much more exciting. So I like that about the Tomb, and that's something that was lacking in Black Ops 6. All of the boss fights seemed pretty easy. Like Terminus, I know a lot of people, Terminus wasn't that bad. There was ways to kind of take him out pretty quick. And you could just kind of dodge because there wasn't a time limit.
That's true.
So I like that aspect. And I don't know, it's just they're there is the Easter eggs for me. They're not as cool and fun to do, but they're not terrible either. I don't think they're as bad as what people make them out to be. They're okay. That's my thoughts. They're okay.
Well, what do you compare them to in terms of like a Black Ops 3 Easter egg or a Black Ops 4? Do you think they're better or worse or even Cold War, I suppose?
Um, I mean, Black Ops 3 has some of the best Easter eggs. Like Black Ops 3 is not my favorite game, but when it comes to Easter eggs, like Black Ops 3 really does hit the nail on like a lot of what you're doing. And no, I think doing a Black Ops 3 Easter egg is more fun. There's more stuff going on. There's more just it feels less, maybe not polished. It feels less structured. Black Ops 6 Easter eggs feel structured. Like when you're doing the Tomb. Yeah, in the Tomb, it's like, okay, there's this statue. You're gonna pick it up and then do this objective once you shoot the statue and take the thing here. And then guess what? Next step. Oh, there's another statue. You're gonna pick up this and then you're gonna take it and do another little objective here and then bring the statue back. Oh, and now there's the third statue. You're gonna pick it up and take it here. Like, and it just feels very not predictable. That's not like I don't mind that it's predictable. It's very simplistic. Whereas like Black Ops 3, it's very like, oh wow, that's what we're supposed to do. Okay. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? It's not it's hard to find the word I'm looking for. It's not that it's obvious or simplistic. It's just not very like it feels like I'm doing a mission.
Yeah.
I guess more. Yeah, that's it. Feels like it's not even that they tell you what you're supposed to do next. It feels like you're doing a mission. It feels like it's almost like a campaign mission. Whereas the older Easter eggs felt like you were figuring something out, like a puzzle. And I feel like it's lost that puzzle aspect.
I agree 100%. I think something that makes the old Easter eggs super fun, and not every map did this perfectly, but like I think about like I think Origins probably does this really well, even though it wasn't really meant to be like that. But there was like multiple things that you could control for at any given moment. So like in Origins, for example, like you're trying to build the staff while also opening the generators and flipping the switches and, you know, riding the tank. And like you're trying to juggle multiple tasks all at the same time to be as efficient as you can. Blood of the Dead does that really well. 9 has aspects of that. Like some of the quests have a linear mission like path of going from point A to point B to point C. Like I'm not going to say that isn't true, but inside of Terminus, I never really feel like I'm optimizing for anything. It's just like, okay, first I'm going to go build the beam smasher. I can't actually start the next step until I build the beam smasher, which is getting the hard drive. But you're not ever optimizing for multiple things simultaneously. And I think that just kind of makes it, I don't know, it just makes it a little less fun. And it just keeps you on a narrow path. And I remember during Cold War, I kept saying like, oh, I would just, if they want to keep the Easter eggs simple, at least give us epic boss fights. And I think the boss fights are probably better than anything we've really received in Treyarch
They're really
before.
cool.
Yeah, they do a
That's
good
what I
job.
like about them. And that's what I
Mhm.
meant about the coolness factor. Like, even if Terminus wasn't that hard, when you get to that boss fight time, when you get to the boss fight for the first time, it's like, oh, what the like, and
Yeah,
I love that feeling. I love like, oh, damn, this is a boss fight. Like, and I love that feeling. And that to me is the coolness factor. Like that
agreed.
is the Terminus boss fight, just sick. It's a cool boss fight. I don't think you can disagree with that. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. And I like that a lot. That is one of the things I value a lot, is just how cool it is.
Yeah. And what's interesting is I actually 100% agree with you about not beating an Easter egg on your first attempt. It's like we only get a new map every so often. Like if I fail one or two or three or four times, like that's okay. You know,
Yeah.
if it's really hard and I'm failing like 10, 15, 20 times, okay, maybe there's a balance issue. Maybe
Oh,
Treyarch didn't do
that's
something
what I
right.
want. I mean, in my ideal world, and it to me, it kind of sucks because we've already got the solution for this. They have added it in guided mode. Like, they're like, okay, we made these quests, and a lot of people aren't doing them because they're harder. But guided mode is a thing now.
Yeah,
Everyone has the ability to be able to do the quest, and I think there should be different tiers to it. Like, I think the main quest can be harder. It can be, Voyage of Despair levels where it might take you 4 or 5 times to beat the quest, but it doesn't matter. Like, let's say the map comes out, and like I said, the boss fight isn't, the hardest thing we've ever seen, but it's definitely more difficult than the previous maps. It's still going to be beatable by just about everyone. Once guided mode comes out, the people who haven't been able to beat the tomb, you'll be able to experience the entire thing in that guided structure mode. And it'll help you plan and get better for the harder one. So I think now that guided mode exists, like, it is time that the Easter eggs bring back up the difficulty, because there is an easy mode. And I think in a perfect world, there would be, guided mode, the normal mode, then there would be the hardcore mode. And this would
sure.
be a mode that is, to do this version, it's like an extra step you have to do along the way. And they could tie it in with the storyline or something. Like, you're putting something else. Like, you do one extra step, you're putting, I don't know, some extra ether stuff on the mirror. And now it's like really pissed off and it's really evil. And it could share, obviously it'd have to be something where it's not going to, do something extra in the boss fight, because then they probably wouldn't do it. It has to be something where it just maybe makes it a little bit more difficult. Maybe the beams do more damage now. Maybe there's more bosses. Maybe it has more health in this version. And this is where you can put, an extra reward for beating the hardcore version
Yeah.
you do, where, yeah, now it's got double the health. The mirrors have double the health, double the amount of bosses spawn. But if you beat it, you'll get this. And this is like, that would be so fun. And I in my ideal world, it would be so hard that I'm failing it. Like, I'm on my 10th attempt, and it's like, all right, this
Sure.
is the run. This is the run. And it's not like you're taking anything away from people, because there's still the normal version. It's the same thing. It's the same experience. There's the guided mode, the even easier version. And I don't think you lose anything. And I don't think it wouldn't be that difficult just to make a version where it has more health, right? Like, if even that would be very simple to do. And I feel like it would really add that replayable aspect for that hardcore audience that wants to be punished, that wants to really
Yeah.
be tested to the limits of, how much can I optimize this? All right, we got to have the perfect set of augments. We've got to have the perfect gobblegums. We have to have the absolute best weapon, and we've got to be on our A game to do this. Like, you're going to use your ether shroud when this happens. I'm going to use mine. And I want to have that strategy thing, but there's nothing hard enough in modern Easter egg that really requires that full-on level of pre-gaming and planning. And I know not for everyone. There's a lot of people, the majority of people would not enjoy that. I feel like 80% of the zombie audience, maybe 90%, would not care about the hardcore mode, would probably never attempt it. But for the people who want something like that, that would be my ideal scenario for 3 different levels of Easter egg: guided, normal, hardcore. And we've got 2 of them. We just need that hardcore now.
Yeah.
We're closer, a little bit closer.
Yeah, I also think that that would be really good for promotion. Like, just because I don't want to play something doesn't mean I won't watch something. Like for example, if I saw like Kingman or Freckleston or something doing that like speed run of the hardcore Easter egg, like I would watch the crap out of that, and that would get me excited to go play regular zombies. So it's like I'm almost getting advertised like this hardcore amazing thing that I'm able to then turn around and still experience.
Them. It's the same
that's
steps.
true.
You're just experiencing, the dumbed down toddler version, but
Exactly.
it's still, you're experiencing the whole storyline. You're getting the whole thing. And I think that would help with one of the big things about Easter eggs is the hunts only last, 8 hours. People are like, wow, these used to be multiple day,
Days.
week-long events in some scenarios, but make the hardcore mode so hard that it's something that takes like even the better players. It's not something that no one's gonna get done on the first day. Like it's something like in maybe the step for even activating the hardcore mode, even if it's just like one extra simple step, make it really hidden. Make it something where the hardcore mode probably isn't going to be found till, a couple days after the Easter egg's been discovered. Like something like those old, really weird crap where you're finding a tiny rock or you're doing something like something completely ridiculous that makes no sense. But it doesn't matter because it's something to activate the hardcore mode, right?
Yeah.
Make it really hard to find, but nothing complicated. It's like shooting one thing or like taking this and putting it there. So it takes a while for it to find, which would fix that way, couple days, 4 or 5 days after the map's launched. Okay, hardcore mode has been found. Okay, people are trying to beat it. Okay, 24 hours after that, someone finally beat it. And I feel like that would add a lot of the aspects that I think people are missing. And it would give something for the more hardcore audience that wants something like that.
Yeah. And what's weird is when I did my Tomb impressions video, like I remember one comment, I'm like, I'm not calling this guy out or anything, but in the video I said, you're not supposed to beat an Easter egg your first try. Like it's okay if it takes you a couple days or a couple tries to figure out, everything. I said all the secrets, but I just meant like figuring out what works for you. Like which gun do you need to bring? And do you want Casimirs or monkeys? Like figuring out how to optimize your run. It's okay if it takes you a couple times. And people were like, I remember one comment visibly disagreed with me. They were like, no, I just want to beat it on my first try. And I'm like, I just don't understand.
That's what guided mode's for. You just, unfortunately, got to wait for it, which they'll never, the way guided mode works, they'll never be able to have it on day one because it gives away, the steps of the Easter egg.
Sure.
But that's why guided mode exists. Like if someone's just looking to beat it on their first run, and yeah, I guess they don't get the same rewards, but at the end of the day, the rewards you get for beating it in normal mode really aren't that great, except for maybe Terminus, but all the other rewards are not stuff that's really necessarily worth it. But yeah, guided mode, you'll probably beat it first attempt. Like that's the solution to what they're doing. And it's not perfect. Like I said, you don't get the same rewards, but there is an option there.
Yeah, Treyarch could even release guided mode at the launch of a quest, and then as soon as it's solved by the community, they could unlock it. Or yeah, I don't know if that would hurt content creators, but
calling card after. Yeah. It might, but I feel like a lot of people still watch the Easter egg guides. Like I feel like it kind of hurts content, but not really, because you got to understand when people are doing it, like they're not going to remember it all. I feel like people still watch the guides, regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think quests are in a weird place. Like boss fights are much better, but they're still not super hard. They're definitely in a better place. The gameplay in Black Ops 6 is fun. I do enjoy the game, but like I don't know. The story is really not great. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't know, man. I think I guess what I'm trying to say is like at the end of the year, when all said when everything's kind of said and done, do you think like Black Ops 6 is going to be shaping up to be one of the better installments that we've ever had in Zombies history, or do you think it's going to be kind of middle of the road? Or
I think it'll be looked upon very fondly just for the sheer amount of maps. Like people are like, oh, Black Ops 6 is lacking content, but it's like we have 4 maps in the game now, and we're in February. And on top of that, we've got tons of different, I think people forget how little updates. Like back in Black Ops 3, we would get a new DLC map. And then there would be after a map launched, the only thing that changes is they would occasionally nerf things that were too broken. They would fix glitches. But besides that, you weren't getting any new content till the next map. Like there was like a 3-month drought. And I feel like stepping back and looking at it from that lens is like we used to not get I don't get the argument. People are like, oh, Black Ops 6 is lacking content because it is drastically different. Even Cold War, like it is stepping up the pace. Cold War felt like it had some real droughts, and Cold War had a lot of content. I would every update we are getting something every season. So I think once it's all said and done and everything's on the table, all the plates, like the dinner's been set and you're able to eat, I think it will be looked upon way more fondly. And I really do think 3 years from now, it will be considered one of the best. I don't know if people put it above Black Ops 3, but I think it'll be pretty damn near there. At least that's my my thoughts on it. I think the really thing that it comes down to, and like this is what I said with Cold War, and I feel like Cold War dropped the ball on this. It really needs some sort of big grand Easter egg conclusion. And Treyarch, I feel like unfortunately, I feel like Treyarch's missed the mark every time. It's only the other companies who have actually been able to pull this off. But like Black Ops 3 beat all the Easter eggs, spawning with the RK5. Crazy, right? And then Cold War beat all the Easter eggs, you spawn in with a purple tier weapon. You get that extra little thing on the zoo map and Outbreak where you get to do all that stuff. I guess Black Ops 2 had like a super Easter egg as well. You got that free if you did all the max, which is very simplistic, and it was like a one-use thing. But like, and those are really all the super Easter eggs we've seen from Treyarch. I know Black Ops 4 had a bunch of stuff planned, but it didn't come out. So we can't count that. It doesn't exist.
I count it happened.
Okay. Have fun getting in those secret rooms. Like, it would have been great, but it didn't happen. Like, that would have. But you look back at a game like Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, I know.
When the final map came out and you got director's cut mode, they made you go back and beat all the Easter eggs again to get all these extra things to then do the Mistopheles boss fight. This big grand boss fight that you could only do after you did all the Easter eggs, then go back with director's cut, do them all again, and then you can fight Mistopheles. And then I think after that, you could go back to what did you do after you beat Mistopheles? You go back to Zombies in Spaceland, beat it again, and you'd unlock something else.
Yeah, you get Willard Weiler.
Yeah.
Skin.
So that like it was like, oh, it's over. There's the final, like, and just that experience of like, okay, that's the final DLC map. We beat the boss. And it's like, no, go back, beat them all again. New boss fight. Oh no, you think you're done there? You beat Mistopheles? Go back, do Shadows of Evil again. Like, Infinite Warfare had such a good blueprint of connecting the maps together with Easter eggs and having an overall reason to go back and do them. And I feel like if I'm hoping that they kind of heard that with Cold War, because with Cold War, they kind of slapped on that super Easter egg at the end. I don't think it was planned. I think it was something, because they didn't even do it. They did it during Vanguard's life cycle. It was like, oh, yeah, if you did them all, you can activate these pillars. I really hope that before this game was, really before they started making the maps, they had an idea of some sort of super Easter egg they wanted to do for all the maps. And I hope it's something like, I don't want to be more powerful. That's not necessarily what I'm looking for. Like, I don't want to spawn in with Perkaholic every game. Like, spawn with an RK5. I want something that gives me a reason to go back and play the old maps. Add a new area if I beat all the Easter eggs, like what Black Ops 4 is going to do, where there's that special room and something in there, and each map has its own little special room that you have to find. It's not just open by default. It is something that now that you beat the super Easter egg, there's something small that's been added on every map, and we got to find it as a community. And once we find it, there's something in a special room on each one of these maps, or something where you got to go back and beat the bosses again to get an additional key to be able to do the final grand boss fight. Like, something like that connects all the maps together in a way. And really the only game that's ever pulled that off was Infinite Warfare. And if this is the first time that Treyarch does something like that, I do think it could be one of the best zombie games, if not the best. And I think it will be perceived that way a couple of years down the line. But I'm just waiting for the year that Treyarch really, really does some sort of super connected, super Easter egg like Infinite Warfare, which Black Ops 4, it almost happened, but that got scrapped. That would have been so cool.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I agree with everything you said. I mean, funny enough, and Lego did not see my notes before the show, but I literally have super Easter egg as one of the talking points. So you transition.
No, I saw it when I was. I can see what's on your computer screen. I check it occasionally.
I wish you could see my face at the camera, but you can't.
I do. No, I can see it.
All right. So anyway, super Easter egg. I agree. I mean, I'm fine with them. I mean, I think like Perkaholic stuff like that should be the bare minimum. Like, give us. I don't
even go spawn in with it. Like, I want.
Well, it should just be an option if there's going to be some mega boss fight that you have to.
I guess, but it should be in like a secret room. Like, I don't want to have it off rip. I want to like, now there's a new side Easter egg that opens this room, and in this room, like, because I want to just like, I want to be able to decide during the game if I want to use the reward. So there's this secret loot room that you get when you do the super Easter egg, and in this loot. Who cares? Go crazy with it. Put every wonder weapon in the game with it. Allow it. And I know that kind of takes away from having map specific wonder weapons, but I feel like I feel like that's kind of different. You played the map during its life cycle with its own unique wonder weapon, a super Easter egg reward allowing you to use the jet gun on Terminus, but it's in this loot room, so it's something you have to actively decide.
Okay.
Like, you got to do the Easter eggs, and now it adds. Imagine that, like, in this loot room's every wonder weapon, and once you open it, you can now use the jet gun on, and maybe to balance it, you can only pick up one. Once you pick it up, it locks off the room, and maybe you have to buy to open it for this, but the replayability that would add. And after the life cycle's over, you finish the super Easter egg, no more maps are coming out. You can now open this loot room. You can use the jet gun on whatever map. You can go, Terminus, jet gun, Beam Smasher, Liberty Falls, and it does dilute it, but it is something you have to actively decide to do, and it's not the default experience for the map. And the map got to live on its own without that Easter egg, without that wonder weapon being on it.
I see. I thought you were saying like it would lead you to the mega boss fight, and I was like, well, you'd probably need a perkaholic. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Having like a secret space, having access to everything, like a closet full of all the mechanics, and you can just pick and
something
choose.
that allows you for replayability. Yeah, like something
sure.
like
that'd be sick.
The amount of replayability, dude. Using the eye staff on Terminus.
I think that'd be fun. I would honestly like to see, and I've been pushing for this for a little while. It's like, why aren't there side Easter eggs, or even if there's a super Easter egg reward where we can have more than one major augment attached? Like, I just think that would be cool. Like, just to see how they pair together, or to make you super OP.
I think it's compatibility issues, because some of them go different directions that legitimately can't work together. Like, I'm trying to think of an example off of my head. Like energy, I would have to look at them.
Sure.
But there's ones that physically would not be compatible, and I feel like it would be an issue of just crashing and stability, because they weren't designed with that in mind. They'd have to go back over and look at all of them, and I guess just block out certain ones from working with each other. And I guess it's not a ton that would have conflicting ones, but there are definitely ones that would conflict hardcore, because
and that's okay. I mean, that's fine with me. I mean, I just think just ways to make make you even more OP. Like, my whole thing is, the reason I like Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 is because they had systems in the game that you could surpass. Like, I'm fine. The reason I like perk limits, or whatever you want to call them, is just because I liked being able to do side Easter eggs and get more perks that would push me over the 4 perk limit. So it's like, fine, if we have 12 perks in the game, that's great. Then but is there something I can get inside of the map that makes me even stronger than that? Like, I just like pushing the ceiling, or pushing past the ceiling. So that's like what I'm looking for. And so a closet full of all the craziest wonder weapons, or extra augments, or whatever, like, I'm totally down for that. Of course, I would love nothing more than for there to be some mega Easter egg that links all the maps and pushes you through each one. Like, you can exfil from map to map to map, and literally just do some crazy Mephistopheles style boss fight at the end. I would love nothing more. I know that Kevin Drew has nodded at Lee Ross, and he tweeted at him like he hopes to be able to deliver on that someday. Maybe this is it. And I will tell you one thing. Part of the reason Beast from Beyond, was not as great of a map is because they were working on the super Easter egg. So let's just say maps 1 through 7 of Black Ops 6 are like, they could have been 100% perfect, but we only got like 85 because each of that 15% is going towards some super Easter egg later. I would be fine with that. I think one of the things that Zombies fans, have a hard time doing as a community, and I'm not throwing shade or anything, but I think people forget to look at the big picture. Like, what is the whole package of Zombies going to be? Because when I go back to play BO3, BO4, Cold War, whatever, I have all the maps at my disposal. I have everything that I need to make a full judgment of this picture. And like, right now, we're still in the middle of this painting. So I try as much as I'm ready to kind of, for Treyarch to take some steps in difficulty, like make things a little bit harder, make the Easter eggs a little bit more full, and make the story better. I'm still waiting to see where they go. And I don't know if it's going to be looked at as one of the best games ever made, but I think it's going to be like a solid B, like just a solid B tier game. And I think that's okay.
I think it's gonna be kind of like how Cold War started off really hated, but now the tides have turned. I think it's gonna be more. I think it's gonna. the opinion, I think this game will be looked more fondly than Cold War. So I think it's going to be the same thing that happened with Cold War, where everyone hated it. But then, a year or two later, people are like, Cold War is actually not that bad. I think it's going to be a bigger version of that. And I don't know. I think when the full picture's out there, like, I think the amount of content, what we have to offer is going to be more than what, I mean, every game, like if you look back at it, like every Zombies game was hated when it was the game that was
I know, it's
currently
so
out.
weird.
Like even Black Ops 3, when Shadows launched, people hated Shadows. Like it was a big deal of how much people did not like Shadows. And now it's like people put Shadows of Evil like an S tier, A tier, when it was like, I think the most hate I've ever seen for a game at launch was Black Ops. Well, Vanguard. I don't count Vanguard though. Take Vanguard out of the equation. Black Ops 3 got the most amount of hate at launch than any Zombies game ever got. But now it's like Shadows of Evil for most people is an S tier, A tier map. Although at the time it was like, this is the worst shit we've ever got.
I know.
And it just
wild.
It took time for it to cook. And I think anything with COD, like we can say what we want about Black Ops 6 right now, but it really just, COD's always age weirdly, and the opinion of it's going to change, and how it's perceived, even in our own minds, will be massively different than what we think. Because same thing with Cold War. I really like Cold War during its life cycle, but I don't think it's aged as well as what I thought it would for me personally. Like I don't hate Cold War. It's still up there for me, but I don't enjoy it as much as I did during its life cycle. Maybe it's because how Cold War worked. I was excited to constantly be getting new stuff, like new outbreak, this, new perk here. But once the content, stopped trickling in, it was kind of like still a great Zombies game in my opinion, but it doesn't hold as much weight as what it did when I was actively playing through it. It has not aged as well as what I personally thought it would for me in my own perspective.
And that's what concerns me about Black Ops 6, is that live service element keeps things fresh during the life cycle, but what happens afterwards? And Cold War was the first time we really saw that. And I think Cold War is fun. Like I think Mauer de Toten is a great map. I honestly like D Machine quite a bit, but it's still just, it doesn't do it for me like the way an Origins does, or a Shadows, or a Blood of the Dead. It's like every now and then, dude, I don't know if you're the same way, but I'll get a craving to like play one of those old maps, and I'll just like, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm like, damn, I really need to do the Origins Easter egg, or I really need to get to round 50 on Tagged or Toten or something. Like I just get these like hunger pangs for old Zombies content, but I really don't feel that very often towards Cold War, except for maybe to D Machine sometimes. I don't know. That's really it. It's strange.
I don't necessarily get that. Like I guess I'm kind of weird in that aspect. Like once the game's wrapped up, like I only care to go back and do the like that's the only thing I'll ever go back and do. Like I love after I haven't done the Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, and so after it's been 2 years since the last time I did the Easter eggs, maybe 3, 4, 5 years, love to go back and do them again. But once I beat it again, like I'm good for like another 3 or 4 years. And then I love to go back and beat them again. But that is my relationship with older zombie games. Like I played them all as they were coming out. I love them, but I don't, for me, I want something new. And I guess it's what Custom Zombies does for me. Like when I get an itching to play something that's not, Black Ops 6 or a new Zombies game, I'm not like, oh shit, let's load up, Black Ops 1 and play Moon. I love Moon, but I would rather just play a custom map. I'd love to experience something I haven't played before. So that's what I find myself doing. When I want to play classic Zombies, I play Custom Zombies.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, we have just a wrap up section and then a lightning round. Oh, there is last thing I wanted to say. You were talking about COD aging. I actually think something that is interesting about Call of Duty is it's a game that has that Treyarch, all the developers, they almost have to think like in the future. They're like, how can we make sure that Zombies like lasts for a long time? Like how that these modes last forever. And I don't know how they do that, but what seems to happen, and you kind of alluded to it already, is like they seem to piss everybody off right at the beginning, or maybe people are hyped for a little bit right at the beginning, but then they piss people off. But then years later, we realize like, oh, this actually did kind of make sense. I kind of see what the devs were doing. And it's like the Treyarch is trying to future proof their games or something. I don't know. Maybe that's not the right way to look at it, or maybe just hindsight's 2020. But I'm trying to skip all that shit and just think about the maps in terms of like, I'm trying to skip all that and enjoy it for what it is now, and try to assess it for what the game is now. It's hard to do, but I'm trying my best.
I don't know if there is really future proofing, because when you think about it, I feel like maybe that's why games feel a little bit different now. I feel like their goal is to make the game as popular as it can be during its life cycle, but then they want to be able to sell the next COD. And an example of this with Cold War, and I don't think this is Treyarch doing this. I think Treyarch's goal might be to make a long-lasting zombies game, but Activision's goal is to make this game as popular as it can be for 1 year, and that's it. They don't want it to be popular.
Yeah, that's true.
And we saw that with Cold War. People were like, we want the Pumpkinhead event back for Cold War. We want this. We want this. They did it, but they stopped the Halloween event 5 days before Halloween started because Modern Warfare 2 is coming out. And they did not want the Halloween event in Cold War to be live when Modern Warfare 2 was launching. So we got the Halloween event in Cold War Zombies, a 2-year-old game at that point, but it ended 5 days before Halloween. And obviously the only reason they would have done that, like, who cares if they would have just kept it on for an extra 5 days? Modern Warfare 2 is coming out, and they did not want that to clash. They didn't want people playing Cold War Zombies with Pumpkinhead Zombies when Modern Warfare 2 is coming out. And I think Activision, that's how Activision thinks. So Treyarch might be trying to make a long lifespan game, but Activision's ideal world is they want you to love this game, but just for 1 year. After 1 year, they want you to be like,
you're on to the next.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I mean, the same thing with like any technology nowadays. Like Apple doesn't want you to buy an iPhone that lasts you forever and that you love for like 10 years. They want you to buy an iPhone that's like, good for a couple of years, but then they want you to fall in love with a new one. And I feel like that is one of the differences with Call of Duty is that is something that I think Activision actively, maybe they're not actively trying to make something like that happen, but they definitely do take decisions that, like, I mean, we saw it with the Cold War Pumpkin event. Like, they are making decisions to make sure their new games are more enticing than the last year's game.
But then I see something like Zombies Chronicles, and I'm like, oh, they did it before. It's like,
it was a different area. They did custom zombies for that game, which custom zombies makes the game playable for years and years. And that's why I think we'll never see custom zombies again, is because if Cold War had custom zombies, more people would probably be playing Cold War right now than Black Ops 6. And I think they learned their lesson with that, unfortunately. Like, I feel like I don't think we'll ever see customs, at least in the way it was. I think they might eventually try to do the Fortnite route where you have like
mod tools or something, sort of light mod tool.
It's not mod tools, but it's like a map creator where it's a little bit more structured, and it won't be the same as a full-on custom map. I don't think we'll ever see that again, because people are still buying and playing Black Ops 3, and I guarantee you they would rather people be playing their new game with $20 bundles than instead of a game where you buy it once and you play infinite content for 10 plus years now. Like, they're not actively making money on you. You're not spending money on their service. You're not buying battle passes for Black Ops 3. And yeah.
No, you're right. I'm thinking mostly about zombies, but I think you're largely correct because of Activision. It's just weird that fans are always looking back in the mirror and like, oh, that game really wasn't as bad as we thought. But I don't know. And I was just thinking, okay, well, maybe Treyarch is thinking ahead of the curve, but maybe.
I feel like Treyarch is, but I feel like they're really limited on what Activision overall arching goal is.
Yeah.
And that's to sell a Call of Duty every year with a new bat. Like that is at the end of the day Activision's goal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have the wrap-up question section and the lightning round section. Some of these we've talked about, so I might skip them. But the first thing I would like to ask is, what is your favorite Zombies map of all time? And also, what's your favorite Black Ops 6 map so far?
Ooh. So it changes. It's been Call of the Dead for a long time. I love the atmosphere of Call of the Dead. I love the Easter egg. I love the wonder weapons. The scavenger, obviously not the strongest wonder weapon of all time, but it's fun. The sound it makes, crazy cool. VR11, once again, not the strongest wonder weapon of all time, but it's just unique. It's something that was different. We got a new map with 2 wonder weapons. We also got Deadshot Daiquiri, which, we're not going to talk about that one specifically. And then there was also George, and it was the first time you were able to like kill George Romero and get more perks and more. And I'm not counting. Obviously, Ascension had it with the the monkeys, but that was so much harder to do. Keeping every perk in the game on Ascension was not a simple task because you would have to defend everything from the monkeys to be able to keep getting perks. Whereas if you're playing Call of the Dead, keep killing George. Get every single perk. Also love that Call of the Dead had, the super Easter egg where if you beat it and you now have a Wonder Waffle, and that persisted every game after. It was the first time we saw something where you got a permanent reward and it lasted, every single time you played Call of the Dead after it. So that's why Call of the Dead for me is number one. I feel like it innovated in a lot of ways, and it's just so many unique, fun things like that. For Black Ops 6, dude, I'm gonna get flack for this, and maybe because it's new bias. I think the Tomb might be my favorite map. I like the Easter egg, and I like doing the Easter egg, and I like the flow of the map. I like how everything connects together. You can go from like one side of the map really quickly. So I think the Tomb is my favorite map for now, and maybe just because the newest map, it's the freshest in my mind. That one we'll have to revisit later, like after everything's all said and done.
Yeah. I enjoy the Tomb quite a bit for gameplay. Like I think it really uses Black Ops 6's systems pretty well. The ice staff is really fun to use. None of it makes sense. It's kind of all over the place, but I think it's just a fun map to play. I do really like the boss fight. And yeah, okay, cool. So besides Treyarch, who do you think is the best Zombies developer?
Well, that doesn't give you really a lot of options there. So there's Treyarch, there's Sledgehammer, and then there's Infinity Ward, which, I mean, if we're saying the best, Zombies developer, obviously the teams that did those, they're not there anymore. Like Lee Ross, not there, but I think that's an easy choice. I feel like a lot of people would consider, like, because you're really comparing Infinite Warfare versus World War II zombies, and Infinite Warfare is by far the best non-Treyarch Zombies game we've ever got. I don't think it's very close. I don't think that's a hot statement.
Let's rephrase the question. Who would you, if Infinity Ward or Sledgehammer or even Raven or something could like develop a zombies mode, who would you like to see take a stab at it? Because Raven made Advanced Warfare Zombies, right? Infinity Ward did Infinite Warfare, and Sledgehammer did World War II. And then there was like a mix, I think, of Sledgehammer and Infinity Ward that did MWZ after Treyarch left. So
I think Infinity Ward, but then again, like I'm thinking of old Infinity Ward. Like,
yeah,
we don't know what anything, like, just because like comparing it to old games is really hard because I have no idea what the teams are like there for Infinity Ward. I'd love to see, like, I say Infinity Ward because I want another Infinite Warfare Zombies, but I don't know. I'd be cool to see a Raven game. I think Raven could really pull. I like to see what Raven would have in store for us if they were the only ones working on a zombies game with how Raven is now.
Okay.
That'd be cool. That'd be fun.
Okay. What is your craziest or hottest take about COD Zombies?
Oh, I didn't come prepared for this. Craziest take?
We can come back to it if you want to think.
I mean, I feel like this used to be a crazy take. I feel like times have shifted. I don't think Black Ops 3 is the best zombies game. I don't think it's the worst, but I don't know. Black Ops, I feel like that's not a crazy unpopular opinion now. I feel like a lot of people, like, for me, Black Ops will, like, I feel like there was a time. Oh, here's my hot take. Black Ops 1's infinitely better than Black Ops 2. Black Ops 2 is a downgrade from Black Ops 1 in almost every way. That's my hot take.
That's interesting. Okay. Can you elaborate quickly on why you think that?
Okay. They were ambitious, but they didn't hit the mark. And so buildables, it's like, all right, cool. You want to go to Pack-a-Punch? Got to get all these parts. You can only hold one at a time. So pick one up, go back, pick up another one. Go back, pick up another one. Go back, pick up another one. Black Ops 3, now you can hold all the parts. Huge improvement. And having to do things for power or Pack-a-Punch that involved you running around the map, picking up parts pointlessly is a chore. And I don't want to do that. I want to kill zombies. I'm playing zombies. I want to kill zombies. In Black Ops 1, you just killed zombies. Black Ops 2 did a lot of things where the only way you could get the Wonder Weapon was building the Wonder Weapon. You couldn't just get it out of the box. Obviously, some of the maps you could get it out of the box, but there were scenarios where sometimes you had to build it. In Black Ops 1, every single Wonder Weapon can be gotten out of that box. Every one of them.
Do you think that the reason that you had to pick up things one at a time was because it was meant for multiple players, or could you only hold one part at a time still, even in co-op?
No, each person could hold one part, and they were individual inventory. So, like, if one person picked up the part and had it, you couldn't build like the tramples because they had the part. They would have to be there to put it in. So, but yeah, 4 people could have different parts. I mean, everyone could pick up a different part. So it was better playing, I guess, in a co-op experience. But I hated the building. The building was just very unpolished, in my opinion, and it did not make a lot of the maps fun. It was fine when it was side things like on Buried. You really didn't have to build anything for it to be like, you didn't have to build anything to get Pack-a-Punch or turn on power. Whereas Mob of the Dead, like, I hate it. Like, I love Mob of the Dead. Love the Blunder Gap. Beautiful map. Completely hate getting to Pack-a-Punch. I hate getting all of the parts for Pack-a-Punch. I hate having to go back and get the fuel cans when you want to go back each and every time. Like,
Yeah.
it felt like they added a lot more chores to zombies. A lot more chores, where Black Ops 1 didn't have as much chores. And I don't mean work. Like, I don't mind hard things. I don't think anyone would say getting to Pack-a-Punch on Mob of the Dead, it's not hard. Anyone can get to Pack-a-Punch. It's annoying. And I think there's a big difference. And I feel like Black Ops 2 added a lot of annoying aspects. Like transit. Like, oh my God, getting Pack-a-Punch on transit. Like, okay, let me build the generator and turn on open Pack-a-Punch. Oh yeah, by the way, you've opened Pack-a-Punch, the generator, you gotta move it for something else. Guess what? Pack-a-Punch isn't open anymore. You gotta get another generator. Oh, the part for that, it's not here. You gotta travel to get, like, that to me was just like, this is not fun. Like, I hate trying to, like, build this, take this here. Like that all takes away time from killing zombies and just playing. Like, I felt like I was doing homework.
Yeah, I definitely understand. I do like some of that stuff a little bit, but when it's unoptimized and you can only hold one thing at a time or whatever, like, that doesn't make any sense. And I mean, and just what you were saying about, Mob, I mean, that's why Blood of the Dead is just infinitely better. It's just simply charging your shield and then firing a shield blast at the thing and turning on Pack. It's that simple,
Okay, yeah, but that's an interesting take. That's a hot take. Blood of the Dead's infinitely better than Mob. I wouldn't say I disagree, but I don't think there's okay, sure, that's okay. But yeah, and like I said, I feel like Black Ops 3 refined it. I feel like they were really ambitious with Black Ops 2, but they just towards the end, I feel like it got so much better towards the end. Like, I feel like the first 3 maps, like transit, just and then Die Rise. Once again, you got all these parts around the map. It's just so hard. You got to wait for elevators, and it's just all these annoying aspects that just don't need to be in the game. But I feel like once they got to Origins and Buried, and a little bit with Mob still kind of had the power thing. I feel like they were getting there towards the end. And Black Ops 3, they refined all those things. But yeah, Black Ops 2 is one of my least favorite zombies game. That one to me aged terribly when I go back and play it. Terribly, except for Origins and Buried. I like those a lot.
Sure. I mean, I was poking the bear a little bit with the whole Blood of the Dead thing. I do like Blood over Mob, but I was just kind of teasing. But the thing what's funny to me is, like, Dead of the Night, everybody's like, it's the most complicated Pack-a-Punch system of all time. I don't want to collect 7,000 things and remember where everything goes. And I'm like, well, in order to do in order to get Pack-a-Punch open for free on Buried, you have to, like, go down certain pathways, get the booze, feed that to, or get the key, unlock Leroy, feed him the booze, get him to run around, break things open, run through a house, buy witches. And if you don't get touched by them, they give you a perk, I guess, which is cool. Then you have to run down a downstairs to get down to the gazebo or whatever to get Pack-a-Punch. I'm like, I find that to be complicated in a different way.
You know what fixed that though? There was the bank. And I feel like every time people played, they took 10K out of the bank, set up the entire map on that one round. And
I never did that.
I feel like Buried would have been a more, like, I love Buried. Buried's an S tier map for me. It's top 5.
Yeah, I feel
Buried. I feel like I would like Buried less if there wasn't a bank. Because you're right. Setting up Buried's annoying, but I never do it because you can just get to the bank, and once you get your money out, as long as you put it back in for the end of the game, like, you alleviate a lot of the stress of that annoying setup process to min-max. Because you can min-max Buried so hard that it's just not fun. It's like, I'll put the chalk here, get Leroy back here, hit him here, get all these points, and there you go. Bada bing, bada boom, Pack-a-Punch on round one. Like, it's like, yeah, but how much time did you realize you could have just gone to, like, round 5 or 10 and got Pack-a-Punch faster than doing all that bullshit.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, it's just, and I guess, well, Whitecliff was talking about BO or Zelensky maps and how they had a lot of variety in them. And I guess that kind of
Zelensky's my favorite. Zelensky's top for me when it comes to zombies maps.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm interested to one of our lightning round questions. So let's keep that in pocket for now. Okay. So we're doing the lightning round. This is just like quick gut responses. Like, just try not to think too hard and just answer as quickly as you can. Okay.
All right.
So what's the most overrated zombies map of all time?
Shadows of Evil.
Underrated zombies map of all time.
I don't know, because I got to think of underrated ones. You can't have lightning round with underrated, because underrated, I'm not thinking of it at the top of my head. Underrated map of all time. We'll go with, I guess, Moon, but I don't think Moon's underrated. Now you're making me. It's supposed to be lightning rounds. Shadows of Evil is off the top of my head. We'll go with We'll go with Moon. It seems like a shitty answer, but we'll go with Moon.
I actually kind of think you're kind of right. I think Moon gets.
I would say Zombies in Spaceland, but that's not underrated. Like Zombies in Spaceland is not underrated by any account of the like. There are a lot of diehard Zombies in Spaceland lovers.
You know what your
Raven
answer is?
Raven the Redwoods. That is it. 100%. Raven the Redwoods the most underrated. That is an A, almost S tier map. And no one gives it its respect. It's Raven the Redwoods.
I was actually thinking you were going to say the Tortured Path.
No, it's Raven the Red. No, because there's a lot of issues with Tortured Path. I just like the ending part of it. I don't think it's a good experience. It's just a replayable experience. Raven the Redwoods. That is, it's an S tier map. It's an S tier map.
All right. Next question. Perk limit versus no perk limit.
Depends on how it's done. Personally, I prefer no perk limit. But I can be persuaded either way depending on how it's done. But no perk limit.
Shield versus armor.
Shield.
Okay, that was surprising. Actually,
armor is annoying. I hate absolutely. Bro, I don't want to press Y every 10 seconds. The golden armor plate actually made armor actually fun because now I don't have to do like the shield. Guess what? You put it on. You're not pressing Y, putting plates on every 10 seconds. Once again, another chore. Don't like armor.
Interesting. Double tap versus rarity system.
Double tap. Well, no, I think that's just because I want to be OP. Rarity system is more balanced because double tap was free pack a punch for like $2,000. So, but double tap because it's double tap. How can you not?
Okay. What perk would you like to see return in Black Ops 6? It could be a new idea you have or a reused perk we've seen in the past.
Damn, this is hard for me because I need to see a list in front of my head.
Stone Cold Stronghold, Widow's Wine, Winter's Wail.
Widow's Wine. I mean, Widow's Wine, obviously.
Blood Wolf Bite.
Jug's kind of already Widow's Wine. The thing about Black Ops 4 perks is a lot. Maybe because I'm trying to think of Black Ops 4 perks, and a lot of them are augments. Like I'm like, oh, the tortoise one. Oh shit, that's a Jug thing.
Yeah. There's Stone Cold Stronghold.
I'm trying to think of one. Which ones that we don't have that is not just an augment? I can't even think of a perk that we don't have.
Dying
Electric Cherry. I was gonna say Electric Cherry. That's an augment. Like what do we have that's not?
It's pretty much Stone Cold Stronghold, and then I mean, I don't think we have a Winter's Wail. I guess you could kind of count that thing in Jug.
It's pretty close. I mean, it's like playing a custom map when you get both Widow's Wine and you get Winter's Wail. It's like it's so weird because now you got like that.
The thing in Jug you're talking about, it's like the plate cracker thing where it stuns him. Is that but it doesn't do it for that long. Weird.
Not if you're constantly playing it pops off constantly.
Okay. All right.
It stuns them. Oh, Bandit or Bandit. Well, no. It's such a shitty choice. I'm gonna be judged on this choice. I don't know. There's you know what I'll bring? What was the one that gave you a random perk? Secret Sauce.
Secret Sauce. That's okay.
Secret Sauce.
That's a good answer. I still think Winter's Wail could be tuned to work in some way, shape, or form. But
the one that gave you the wolf, the blood wolf bite. Zombie shell, maybe.
Zomshell could be cool. I actually think that Zomshell could be an AAT for Pack-a-Punch. And I actually would not mind seeing a companion inside of Zombies and some sort of side Easter egg with a Hellhound or something. I think that would be totally cool.
I would say Ethereal Razor because that was so good. But we got Melee Macchiato, which is just it is so water, dude. That is, I'll bring Ethereal Razor. We'll just have two and we'll buy Melee Macchiato.
I don't like Melee Macchiato at all.
Ethereal Razor was so good. It was so good. And now we got Melee Macchiato. Dude, that gave you so much extra damage.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite consumable system like BO3 Gobblegums, Elixirs, Fate and Fortune, World War II's thing.
Black Ops 6. I've always been a huge hater of these consumable systems. And I feel like Black Ops 6 is the first time it's actually decently fair. I feel like with Black Ops 3 I had like no perkaholics. Like I feel like the earn rate was next to none.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And Fate and Fortune cards, once again, they were cool, but I didn't use them near as much as what you use Gobblegums now because they were in order and they just weren't as necessarily helpful. The weird whatever the weird crap in World War II was, I don't know, definitely not that. Black Ops 4, they were kind of cool, but I hate how there was the balance between the free ones and the paid ones, and the free ones had like 30 minutes to recharge once you use one, but the paid ones was like, oh, you want to pop a perkaholic? Want to do it again? Like, take 2 seconds to recharge. For me, I think Black Ops 6, I really do. I think Black Ops 6 is the fairest consumable system we've had for people who aren't paying money.
Well, I was actually referring to the question in terms of like its implementation in game, like for gameplay, but I do agree with
I
you.
still say Black Ops 6.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Okay, here is the question I was talking. Actually, we'll do that last. We have 3 more questions in. Actually, we'll just do 2. Should open world zombies come back or outbreakers?
Yes.
Oh,
100%. Is a rapid fire question? Can I elaborate? Or
you're welcome to elaborate.
I feel like they pair so well together. I do not think an open world zombies can stand alone on its own. I feel like it needs round base, but I feel like you pair them together, and one is a sandbox mode for the more structured experience. And I feel like if Outbreak was more well done and more in the lines of like Modern Warfare Zombies, it would have been so much better. But I feel like Outbreak just needs to be their sandbox. Every single thing they ever do should be thrown in Outbreak. New Wonder Weapon comes out, it's an Outbreak. It should have every boss type. I was playing a custom map yesterday, and it really it oh it it gave me a taste of what Outbreak could actually be. I think it was Victus, if you've ever seen that custom map.
I know what it is.
And it's got all, like, if Outbreak had custom maps and it wasn't just like, reuse MP maps where they do what they do for Warzone, and it's like, oh, here's a fan favorite map. If they took just a bunch of aspects, almost like Revelation style, and slapped them together and brought back all these things from past Easter eggs, and like I was playing Victus, and it was great custom map. But you're seeing the things from Call of the Dead from one of those Easter egg steps. You're seeing the thing from Reese from one of those, and I just don't think there should be any storyline with it. Completely cut it out, make it non-canon, and just make it a giant sandbox of all the shit we've had in zombies in the past. Like different parts of maps for one big king. Like I don't think there should be like Outbreak did where you teleport to different maps. Spend all that time on one map. And maybe you can cycle through that one map, but make it a zombie specific map that has all of these aspects that we've loved throughout the years, with tons of different wonder weapons, tons of different bosses, and little Easter eggs. And even if it just reuse stuff, that's what Outbreak should be. This should be just a little sandbox of all the stuff we've loved in zombies past. And it would go really well with round base, because every time there's a new wonder weapon or something new, throw something else in there to give you something more per update. I guess same thing with Cold War. I felt like with Cold War, the updates felt more impactful because every time there was something new in the game, they added something tiny to Outbreak with it. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, here's a new little tiny world Easter egg to give you, this or that. And I think Outbreak done correctly can be a ton of fun, but I do not think it is a standalone mode. I think it is a side dish to round based.
Okay, that was a great answer. I agree. I thought MWZ was a really good step in the right direction. It
was, but
had like some pitfalls.
Yeah, it just it needed the main course. It felt like a great side dish, and it just didn't get updates. And maybe Modern Warfare Zombies, given a ton of effort and stuff, could have standalone on its own, but it was fun for like a month, and then you did everything. And a game like that, it needs live service. You can't have an Outbreak style mode without live service, because the second it stops getting updates is the second it dies.
Exactly. Okay, the last lightning round question. This is why I saved it. It's going to make some more sense here in a second. You have to eliminate an era from Call of Duty Zombies. Zelensky, Blundell, or Kevin Drew. You have to pick one to axe.
Blundell.
Oh my goodness. I think, was Whitecliff, did he say Blundell? You might be the first or second person to do it. I'd have to go back and look.
I've just never been no hate towards Blundell, but
no, it's all good.
I love Kevin Drew maps, except for the one. We're not going to talk about the one. That one doesn't ever get named.
I don't.
And then Zelensky.
You're talking about which Kevin Drew map doesn't get named.
I don't want to name it.
Forsaken?
No, there was one that honestly,
Firebase Z?
Nope. It's in Black Ops 3.
Oh, is that Sabo Noshima?
Absolutely hate that map. That was, in my opinion, the worst zombies map until that what was that green map in what was the one they released twice in Vanguard? What was that one where they remastered?
Reborn?
No. The map they remastered.
Terra Maledicta, and then
No, that was the first one.
The Archon.
Yeah. Terra Maledicta is that one's below. But I do not like Setsubo no Shima at all. At all.
I do know that about you. I do remember that.
It was everything I hated about Black Ops 2. It's like, oh, you want to turn on power? All right, clock in. Here's your time card. Make sure to clock out once it's open.
You crack me up, dude.
Hated that. But a lot of people like Terra Maledictus. It is so chore heavy. It is so chore heavy, that map.
Well, the Archon was the one with the full Easter egg. I don't really remember how it went, though, to be quite honest.
They were essentially the same. Like they yeah, the Archon was Terra Maledicta with an Easter egg, but it was green too. They put a green hue on it.
Do you guys want to do a fun experiment to actually prove that this is it was a green hue? If you actually take a screenshot of Terra Maledicta and put it in Photoshop and
you can do it with colorblind settings. You can change a colorblind setting in the setting that makes it look exactly the same as the other map.
It's literally a green hue. That's it. It's crazy.
You can change it. And like legitimately, and I had a short that popped off and I said how to fix Terra Maledicta, and it's me clicking on the settings and changing the setting. And it makes everything else look a little bit weird because it just doesn't change the hue. It changed everything else, like your weapons and stuff looks weird, but the map looks normal.
Yeah, but if you take a image on Photoshop or on your phone or whatever and just turn the hue a little bit to, one direction, it'll turn everything. Even the crystals on the map will look red. It's pretty funny.
First time we got a remastered map in the same game it was launched.
That was a special year. But
Blundell would be the area gear. And it's not because Blundell maps are bad. It's just, dude, I love the really OG old school era. And then I like a lot of the newer stuff too. It's just, and I don't have a list of what all maps each, like, I'm not as hip to like what individual map each person worked on, right? So maybe it would change if I saw a full list of the maps. But I in my head, the way I rationalize it is Zelensky's like old school, like World at War, Black Ops 1. Blundell was more of like Black Ops 2-ish, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4. And then obviously Kevin Drew's been there forever and he's had a hand in Black Ops 3 maps and stuff like that. But Kevin Drew, that's just the way I associate in my head. Kevin Drew more Cold War and Black Ops 6, whereas like the middle era was Blundell, and then the beginning era was Jimmy Zelensky. And like I said, if I saw an actual list of which ones they made, because I know Kevin Drew's obviously worked on a bunch of stuff beforehand, maybe that changes. But I liked old school zombies and new school zombies more than I like middle zombies, which middle zombies was Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, and Black Ops 4.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair assessment. It's like Zelensky is from the beginning till right before Mob, and then everything from Mob to Origins onward not onward through BO4 is Blundell.
JD 2020 was just multiplayer, right? He didn't have anything to do with zombies, right?
Who?
JD 2020.
I don't know.
I know. I think he was just like the community manager at the time. I'm bad with these names and what they all did. I mean, I know all the names, but I don't know specifically what maps. I think JD 2020 was just multiplayer, right?
I'm not sure. I have to look specifically. I don't recognize that name.
That's who everyone hate. You know how people love to like hate on what's his Vanderhaar, right? I think JD 2020 was the Vanderhaar before Van. That's what everyone complained. Like people were like, "Oh, screw Vanderhaar." It was like, "Screw JD 2020."
I've
was
never
like
heard
what people
that
said
name.
in World at War, and like, I don't think like I said, I don't know what they did, but like who did what with what.
Josh Olin.
I don't know his actual name. His handle was JD 2020.
Oh, I know this guy. I didn't know that was his name. Yeah, I've seen him in videos and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I didn't know people had a bone to pick with him. I'm sure now they're like, he was the best.
No, I don't think it's not necessarily people had a bone to pick with him, but the community manager always gets hate. It's like anytime there's something wrong with the game, it's Vonderhaar's problem, right? Where even though he probably had nothing on it, that's who everyone loved to like blame people for before Vonderhaar was Vonderhaar, you know?
All right, dude. Well, that's going to bring us to a close for this wonderful episode talking about Call of Duty as a live service. So I just wanted to thank Mr. Unlocked for spending some time with me tonight. So thank you all for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you all in the next episode.
Bye.